It's the Brad and John Show.
Brad and John Show. Today is June 18th, and as John has corrected me, we went through this last year. It's not Juneteenth, it's Juneteenth tomorrow, right?
That's exactly right.
And this is the B block, and this is something new. Day 5, John. You said it wouldn't last.
No, I said it wouldn't last, Brad. You should be very proud of it. It's very hard to do something 5 weekdays in a row consistently, and you're almost up to Brad Cam level.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
It's time for Brad's
I'm ready.
Top 3.
It is time for Brad's top 3. And I want the ladies to come back in and say it one more time.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
Yes, okay. Lots of stuff this morning, and I'll start off with, I'm going to have to do this. This is going to be 3A and 3B, okay? 3B is about you, John. You ready?
It's number 3.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, not totally about you. I found this interesting story, and it reminded me of John Combest because there's a company that has still a very high-profile company, publicly traded company, and some corporate raiders have come in and bought a big stock block, and they're essentially saying, this company's not being run right. We want things to change. And you know how they say what they're going to do, which will turn this company around?
They're going to buy radio stations so they can finally declare bankruptcy.
No. The corporate raiders are telling the stockholders, not the stockholders, but the board, that the salvation of this company is to sell more bras. The company is Victoria's.
Nice. Is this Ann's Bra Shop?
No, this is Victoria's Secret.
I haven't followed VSCO in a while. Ticker symbol VSCO.
Exactly, yes. And apparently their stock is way down, and somebody's bought into it and essentially saying, okay. And what's interesting about it is, and I think this is sort of fascinating. If you want, I'll send you the article. You might find this interesting.
I won't read it, but go summarize it for me.
They are complaining, the raiders, the people who are trying to shake up the board, are saying that the people on the board really know nothing about the company. They don't know that much about retailing, and they say Victoria's Secret should get back to its core product of selling bras and panties and not doing all the other crazy weird stuff like the TV shows they used to do and stuff like that. And they talked about the fact that apparently at one point in time, this is going back some years when they had another slump in the stock price, that they brought in some other company that turned it around, and the stock price increased 220% when this other company came around. So they're saying it can be done. So John, double interest you for I know you find these stories fascinating about the stock market.
Yeah, and I'm just reading, by the way, some insight from Hedgeye's Brian McGough that Victoria's Secret has a new CEO.
Right.
They think the CEO will reduce promotions.
Right.
So in other words, that means there'll be less promotional. So you're going to have fewer 20% off sales, fewer 3 panties for $10 sales, and they could claw back some revenue at their Pink brand. Now, Brad, you'll recall that they got in a lot of hot water. I don't know if you want to say hot water, but they faced a lot of criticism starting probably, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago when they started hiring fat girls to model their lingerie. It's hard to even put that all in the same sentence, but they hired a bunch of fat people, and they said that they were going to be body positive. Instead of promoting to pretty women, they were doing there's a Victoria's Secret for every size type thing. And so I don't know, a lot of the women who I know who would be Victoria's Secret partisans, they don't want to be associated with a clothing line that sells to fat women. And I think that probably hurt their brand.
That's John Combest, Combest.
It is,
his website called.
And
John.
all the fat women who are offended, you can text me and I won't reply.
Okay.
Because you don't have my number. Go ahead, Brad.
And now here's number 3B.
It's number 3.
Yes, it's number 3B. Okay.
That was 3A, right, Brad? You just said that my thing was 3B. What's 3A now?
Okay, I'm sorry. 3. Okay, this is 3A. Okay.
Brad, your numbering system really messes me up. We should do it my way.
John, we've had this discussion about Bob Onder, okay? And about Bob Onder, where when he ran for the Congress, he used to live firmly in U.S. Congress District 3 when he was in Lake St. Louis. And when he retired, I think he retired from practice of medicine, he moved to Augusta, correct?
I think he did, yeah, recently. I think very recently he moved to Augusta.
No, this has been a couple years ago.
Okay, go ahead, get with it.
He moved to Augusta a couple years ago, which was, and remember we had this discussion, which was in Senate District, our Congress District number 2, right, which is Ann Wagner. Remember how they
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I was at this event last night, and I ran into Madison Kellenberger, and she is the congressional liaison for Bob Onder. And I asked her about this. I said, did Bob Onder move? And she goes, no, he's still in Augusta. I go, isn't that 2? Nope, it's 3. John, you got your map there? I don't know. I thought Augusta was 2. No?
No, I'm guessing I think Madison would probably know pretty well where the district is, so that's awesome. So your complaints about Bob needing to move, those are by the wayside now, right?
Well, but you and I talked about this before, and I looked at the map, and I know that that 2nd district and the 3rd district are weird districts because of the fact that isn't his district the one that splits Columbia in half? He's got like part of Columbia, Missouri, and
he sure does. You're right about that.
And the other guy's got, what is it? He's got like the south part, and the other guy's got the northern part of Columbia. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the line is, but it is split.
Right. So who knows? But she said that he's in, and I'm thinking to myself, but what's your buddy Mark Lamping, the Cardinals guy? What is he? Is he in 2 or 3?
John Lamping is in Augusta. You're right.
So is he in 2 or 3?
I'm not sure, Brad. And you, because this is part of Brad's top 3, you have that map in front of you, right?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, remember this came up as part of the thing because it wasn't me initially that said, because I heard this from other people say, well, if he wins congressional district, he's going to have to move because he used to live in 3, but now he lives in 2. And I assumed that the other people were right, but I made an assumption. And
that's when you assume that other people are correct, Brad. There you go.
Right. You know what that leads to. Now I have to restart my computer here because I have my list here and it went down. Okay. You ready for number 2, John?
I sure am.
John, this is going to be fun.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
We got to say it twice because it's number 2.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was on The View yesterday, okay? And
I heard he silenced those old bats.
Well, Arnold said something very controversial. You ready for this, John?
I am, yeah.
Super controversial. He said that when immigrants come to this country, that they should be on their absolute positive best behavior because they are guests in our country. And he gave the analogy.
No, Brad, that's very xenophobic. You know that Arnold is a native-born American, and he should stop being so xenophobic.
Right. He's not, but John's being sarcastic there. So he gave the analogy that if you spend the night at someone's house, you become a respectful guest, and you make sure you make the bed, and when you use the bathroom, you make sure you hang up all the towels, and everything is just the way it was before you got there. So when your host comes in and goes, oh my God, it's like nobody was ever here. And they are such respectful guests. And of course, guess what kind of response he got from the ladies on The View?
A terrible one. I'm sure they were wildly offended by that.
They tore him apart. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, how can you, to me, a guy, and you're making fun of this, a guy who was himself an immigrant who came to this country and loves this country and essentially is giving a tip to other immigrants. You would think that by telling them to be respectful guests when they're in a foreign country, which they are because it's not their home country, and until they become nationalized citizens or immunized or whatever you call it, immigration. Well, you know what I'm saying. They shouldn't be riding around in L.A. on a motorcycle with a Mexican flag on the back of their motorcycle or a Hamas flag or throwing Molotov cocktails at police officers. No, they should be saying to the police officer, officer, there's a little bit of a dirt on your boot there. Let me get down and clean that off. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, let me clean your boots. Let me be a bootlicker. Now, Brad, if you're a member, like the other ladies on The View, what was their criticism of that? Were they saying that he was being racist, or what was their problem?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the problem with that, John. If you randomly walked up to 1,000 people, if you did like a research, and you said, hey, when immigrants come to this country, don't you think they should be respectful of our country? Don't you think like 998 of them would say, yeah, they should?
Yeah, that's a 98-2 issue.
Right, exactly. It's to the point where it's like okay, and it's even to the point where you take that one step further that my mom taught me And she always said, she says, if you ever borrow anything from anybody, make sure you give it back to them in as good a shape, if not better than when you got it. And through the years, when I've done that, I've borrowed tools from people, and sometimes they give it to me dirty. I return it back to them clean. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I know exactly. It's the Smokey the Bear rule. Leave a campsite better than you found it.
But exactly, and once again, it's human nature. It's U-Pod, right? It's like you kid me about U-Pod all the time. It's under promise, over deliver. If they expect you're gonna, you become a house guest of theirs and you leave and the bed's a mess and you got dirty towels on the floor in the bathroom and stuff like that. They go, oh my God. But if they walk in and everything's perfect, then they go like, man, we'll have that guy or gal back soon, right?
You're exactly right, Brad. I love that idea.
Okay, you ready for number one?
And
Sure.
now, big finish, Brad's number.
It is the number one. Those ladies sing it so well. One more time. One. There's a story on First Alert 4, which I found very interesting. John, did you hear, what was it, Monday, the big press release that the Trump family is starting a new mobile phone service? Did you hear this?
Yeah, you can buy a Trump phone now, Brad. Why wouldn't you want to support a pro-America company? I heard that on the radio, too.
Right. Okay. But here's the story from First Alert 4, okay? You're done, and here's the interesting thing. President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, announced on Monday that Trump mobile phones will be built in the U.S. and have a call center in the country. In a Fox Business interview, Eric Trump said, you're not calling up call centers in Bangladesh. Do it right out of, guess where, John?
Oh, I don't know. Mar-a-Lago.
St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis, that's right. That's why it was on First Alert 4.
Right. And you're going to have phones that are made right here in the United States. Now, what's interesting was Greater St. Louis Inc. Isn't that Tim Brinker's place?
It is, yeah, among many other people we know.
Greater St. Louis Inc. told First Alert 4 they did not have any information regarding a Trump mobile call center as of Monday afternoon. So is it the fact that the Greater St. Louis Inc. people aren't in the loop, that didn't do their homework, or is this BS by the Trump organization? What do you think, John?
No, I don't think it's either or. I think the Trump team probably didn't feel a need to leak the news before they announced it themselves. I think they knew if they contacted news organizations or civic groups, or your favorite word, Brad, stakeholders, then the word would leak and people would try to spike the story or undermine it. So I think Trump probably, the Trump folks probably want to do it, just announce it themselves and reach out to stakeholders later.
Well, okay, this is Brad, the business nerd on there, okay? They reached out, First Alert 4 reached out to Greater St. Louis Inc. Okay, first off, let me make an analogy. That would be like that if I decided we're going to do a new show on Westplex 1071, like when I put the TJ show, that would be like First Alert 4 calling up the O'Fallon Chamber of Commerce and saying, what do you know about Brad's new show on Westplex 1071?
And they'd be like, hey, we're looking into kicking that guy out. Don't ask us.
We don't know anything about him. Ask Brian Richardson. That's what they said. But the second part of this is, back in Washmo, across the street from us was a call center, and where they did contract work, and to the point where that's what they do. They sign contracts, and it's not like they're going to move into a building that's going to have a sign that says Trump Call Center. They're probably just farming it out to some call center that's in St. Louis, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. But it gives them a chance. I don't know how many other cities they've had this announcement in, but it gives them a chance to get a little bit of a splash and get the word out among Trump supporters in every city, right? So there was probably a story about them doing this in Denver too. Or San Jose.
So they're going. So they said they're going to have a call center in Denver as well too. Is that?
Well, I'm making that up, Brad. I'm just using that as an example. So you take that template that you would use in St. Louis, and then you would do it in every other city, and then you would hire 8 people to be a call center, and you're able to say that you have a presence in that city or that state.
Well, let me make my comment, and I will read you this last paragraph. Okay. Greater St. Louis Inc. told First Alert 4 they did not have any information regarding a Trump mobile call center as of Monday afternoon. So what you can surmise from that is that Greater St. Louis Inc. didn't call up Channel 4 and say, hey, we don't know anything about it. Channel 4 called up Greater St. Louis Inc. Wouldn't you agree with that's the way it went?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. I hate this as a journalist, and I have 2 useless journalist degrees. And Fox News does this all the time, and everybody does this all the time. A non-reply is damning. And if something comes out about you or me or the radio stations or somebody you know or Monsanto or something like that, and the reporter ends the story with, "We called them for a response and we didn't hear back from them." You know, I mean, it's like, oh, they're cowering in the corner. They don't want to talk to the press.
I don't mean to step on your story, Brad. When in reality, if the newspaper calls a corporate office at 4:55 p.m. and nobody's there to take the call or take responsibility, then, you know, the journalist clearly had the story written and wanted to be able to say no comment.
John, you made my point. I couldn't have made it.
I don't mean to step on your point there, Brad, but you're exactly right. So it doesn't say, now sometimes a good journalist will say, no one was available on the weekend to answer the call, or nobody late Friday afternoon was available to leave comment. But most of the times they'll just say, calls to Monsanto were not immediately returned.
Right, which essentially, and the assumption is people read that, oh, they're dodging the press. They don't want to talk about it because they're guilty, right? Isn't that pretty much the...
Yeah. So that's exactly right. When the company probably... Now, a lot of companies would have a standby statement to use. Greater St. Louis Inc. can't anticipate every piece of news and have a standby statement, though. So, I wouldn't expect Greater St. Louis to have anything to say about it, you know?
But see, the interesting thing for me is, why didn't they call the Trump organization? Why would they go to the Greater St. Louis? Okay, fine. This was a national news story. Why don't they call up the Trump organization and say, hey, you know, Eric said that there's going to be a call center in St. Louis. Who is that? Is that something?
Well, I think the Trump statement is the one they use from Eric, but it allows them to say, hey, look, Trump ignored St. Louis so much that our main St. Louis cheerleader, Greater St. Louis Inc., didn't even know about it. Well, you know, I mean, I think the intention is to undermine the Trump.
The exact quote from Eric Trump is, "You're not calling up call centers in Bangladesh. Do it right out of St. Louis, Missouri, and we're going to have phones that are made right here in the United States of America." Okay, so to me, if I were our First Alert 4, I'd be on the phone to the Trump organization. Can I tell you something, John? You know what's interesting? I did this years ago. I don't know if it's still the same way. When you call the Trump organization, you get a live person.
Oh, wow. I've heard a lot of advertisements where companies can hire somebody with a voice to make it seem like they have a professional operation. And you can say, hey, you'll talk to a live person. And the person answering the phone can answer the phone for a dozen different companies, right?
Well, no. This was actually, and what's interesting about this has probably been 10 or 11 years ago. Don't ask me why I was calling a Trump organization, but to the point where, and I even said to the woman, I said, you really answer the phones live? And she says, yes, Mr. Trump's mandate. That's what she said to me.
Oh, now, that's good training. That's good sales training.
I will give you.
And she was in Bangladesh, right?
No. I will give you an analogy to locally. I don't know if it's still anymore since Dave Sinclair's dead and he died and his sons take over the business. He used to always talk about that. He says, call my dealership, hey, thank you, and here's my address. Call my dealership, and you'll talk to a live person. And I thought to myself, okay, how sad is that? And that's been some time because, unfortunately, he's been dead, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. How sad is that's a promotional thing? And that's why I answer my phone live, John. That's why I do it live.
You even tell people, Brad, Google my phone number. I was talking to two old bats at a Republican event, and I told them, Google my phone number. You'll find out who I am.
And they said, but who's this John Combest guy again?
I love the fact, Brad, that you found, there's very few people have ever heard of me or know my name. I love the fact that you cherish that you found people that don't know my name. It's like I'm supposed to be offended by that.
Well, but she was very offended when she said, when she asked me if you'd done any billboards. I go, no, I don't think you have.
Oh, yeah, Brad, we have a Harvey milk correction. You want to do that in C Block?
What's the Harvey milk correction? Did we say it wrong?
Well, I'll just say it real quick. A listener to the show, and I missed this email a while back, but said, big fan, been following for a while. Just wanted to touch base regarding the show today. This was a couple weeks ago. Brad is actually wrong about Harvey milk not being in the military. I sent this to him too. As a guy who likes military history, I just wanted to provide some constructive feedback. And Harvey Milk was actually, he joined the United States Navy during the Korean War. And it looks like a simple Wikipedia search shows that Harvey Milk had a storied military career. So I won't say, because I'm not going to say the name of this listener because they didn't say that I could say their name. But I would just like to say thanks to, we'll just call this listener A. Thank you for reaching out to us with the Harvey Milk correction. We appreciate it.
Listener A, which means it's an Amarin dude, right?
Very good, Brad.
Okay, the thing I pointed out in the story. Let's review. Well, I'll tell you what. We're behind.
Yeah, we're overtime.
We'll pick that up in the thing because the reason I brought the story up because there's an interesting thing that I heard yesterday, and I checked this out, and they were right. I can't believe it about what this was. There's a what is this? Some kind of a Navy vessel that's named the USS Harvey Milk. And Hedgeye said, no, we're changing that. And Trump has changed a lot of the bases back. Remember, we couldn't have Fort Bragg because Bragg was some Confederate general or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of name changes, Denali and all that stuff.
There's a new wrinkle to that story. You wait till you hear this. And this is incredible Trump-ese. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.